Rule number 1, don't target civilians. First up, the golden rule of war. Don't be a jerk to civilians. That means no bombing schools, hospitals, or your ex's house, even if they deserve it. The idea is to keep the fighting between the soldiers, not the people just trying to live their lives. Think of it as the no hitting below the belt of warfare. Sure, it doesn't always work out, but it's a nice thought. Rule number 2, no chemical or biological weapons. Remember that time in history class when you learned about mustard gas? Yeah, let's not do that again. Chemical and biological weapons are a big no-no. They're cruel, unpredictable, and way too evil genius for modern warfare. If you're thinking, but what about nukes? Don't worry, we'll get to that. Spoiler, they're also frowned upon. Rule number 3, treat prisoners of war humanely. If you capture enemy soldiers, you can't just lock them in a dungeon and throw away the key. Prisoners of war have rights like food, shelter, and not being tortured. It's basically the wartime version of don't kick someone when they're down. Sure, they're your enemy, but they're still human. Plus, karma's a thing. Rule number 4, no perfidy. Perfidy is a fancy word for being a sneaky cheat. It means you can't pretend to surrender just to ambush your enemy or dress up as a civilian to launch an attack. Basically, no fake outs. War is already chaotic enough without adding betrayal to the mix. Save the mind games for poker night. Rule number 5, protect medical personnel. Doctors, nurses, and medics are off limits. They're the ones patching people up, not picking sides. Attacking them is like kicking a puppy. It's just wrong. Even in war, there's a line, and shooting the person trying to save lives is way over it. Rule number 6, no pillaging. Just because you're conquering a town doesn't mean you get to loot it like a Black Friday sale. Pillaging, stealing stuff from civilians is a big no-no. It's not just bad manners, it's against the rules. So put down that antique vase and back away slowly. Rule number 7, proportional force. This one's all about balance. If your enemy throws a punch, you don't nuke their entire country in response. Proportional force means your retaliation should match the threat. It's like the eye for an eye rule, but with less eye gouging and more common sense. Rule number 8, no child soldiers. Kids shouldn't be anywhere near a battlefield. Using child soldiers is not only morally reprehensible, but also illegal. War is already awful. Let's not drag children into it. They've got enough to deal with, like homework and TikTok trends. Rule number 9, cultural property is off limits. Historic monuments, art, and cultural sites are protected. That means no blowing up the pyramids or looting museums. Destroying culture is like erasing history, and nobody wants to be that guy. Plus, it's just bad PR. Rule number 10, surrender must be accepted. If your enemy surrenders, you have to accept it. No mowing down people waving white flags. Surrender is the ultimate I give up, and you've got to respect it. It's like tapping out in a wrestling match. Once it's done, the fight's over. Rule number 11, no unnecessary suffering. Weapons and tactics that cause unnecessary suffering are banned. That means no flamethrowers, no exploding bullets, and definitely no glitter bombs. Okay, maybe glitter bombs are just annoying, but you get the point. The goal is to win the war, not to make your enemy wish they were never born. Rule number 12, no unlawful detention. You can't just grab civilians and lock them up without a good reason. Unlawful detention is a serious violation of human rights. If you're going to detain someone, make sure it's for a legitimate reason, like actual espionage, not because they looked at you funny. Rule number 13, no starvation tactics. Cutting off food and water to civilians is a big no-no. Starvation as a weapon, that's just cruel. Imagine trying to win a war by making everyone hangry. Not cool. Even in the chaos of battle, everyone deserves a decent meal. So keep the bread flowing and the water clean. Rule number 14, no forced displacement. Forcing people to leave their homes without a good reason is against the rules. War is disruptive enough without adding forced relocations to the mix. Imagine being told to pack up your life and move because someone decided your neighborhood is now a battlefield. Not fun. Rule number 15, no collective punishment. Punishing an entire group for the actions of a few is a big no-no. If one soldier does something wrong, you can't retaliate against their entire unit or village. It's like giving the whole class detention because one kid threw a paper airplane. Not fair. Not cool. Rule number 16, no unnecessary destruction. Destroying property without a good military reason is against the rules. You can't just go around blowing up buildings for fun. If it doesn't serve a strategic purpose, leave it alone. War is destructive enough without adding unnecessary chaos.